Hi, guys. I'm here today to start a rumor. Yeah, and I hope you'll run with it. The rumor is that you can be happy no matter what happens in your life. I'm asked about this a lot. You always seem to be so cheerful, but is it for real? Well, in the past, I've even sometimes been criticized for being so optimistic about the future of the world, insisting that I must just be ignoring all the pain and suffering in the world, and that's a pretty selfish way to live. I've never understood how me being miserable could somehow make me a better person. Like saying, if I really cared about others, it would be much more supportive if I was just as unhappy as everyone else. Does that really make any sense? Well, let's see if we can solve this. Okay, if we go back to the basic question about why bad things happen to good people, I'll be the first to admit that a life on Earth was never really meant to be all sunshine and rainbows. It was meant to give us all the opportunity and ammunition we might need, and yes, some through adversity and suffering, to open our memory and to awaken us to who we really are and why we came here. So you still might ask, how the heck can anyone be happy here with all the wars and trauma? Well, you may be surprised to learn that happiness is actually who you are. It's your natural state of being. So if you are unhappy, this should tell you that something has affected your natural state. What is that something? Well, first, it's not only your own internal belief system, but also what is affecting you externally from the outside. From my own personal life, probably one of the most notable enhancements to my own happiness is gratitude. It's an extremely powerful gift that we all can bring into every part of our lives. I mean, it isn't just about saying thank you. It's about developing a mindset that enhances everything, including mood, your health, compassion or empathy for others. My husband used to make fun of me when I would thank my brain when I remembered something important, or thank my legs when we hiked all day, or thanked my hair for growing, and so on. Mostly, gratitude just uplifts me, makes me feel good, like life is on track. However, I've heard so many people say, but how can I be grateful when this awful thing is happening, or when this person is in office, or when my loved one is ill? Well, as long as you allow these external conditions to be your pilot, you can't. You'll never be able to find your way out of this viewpoint until you're able to discover what it is that compels you to feel that way. I mean, ask yourself, why do I care so much who is in political office? Think about it, it's always the same, no matter who takes the stage. And that's because the one seemingly running the show is just a puppet. It's the one working the strings that's actually doing the dirty work. And good luck tracking down that dude, who's probably hidden in a deep underground bunker somewhere. And if you'll stick with me here, I'll make all of this very clear. Why is it really that so many people seem to think in this way? That what happens in the world is what dictates whether they can be happy or feel safe. It's like when you try to go to sleep at night and those thoughts start coming and building up into great involved scenarios about one bad thing or another, and the brain just takes off with it, bringing you more and more what ifs, usually ending in something like homelessness or illness or death. And yet, in truth, nothing has really happened. You're still snuggled safely in your bed, but your mind has just gone off on a horrible emotional tirade of negativity that never really happened, and most probably won't. Yet your body has been affected just as if you had really gone through some tragedy. Each cell has been affected with the emotions of fear and sadness, or even suffering a painful death. Yet it's all in your mind. And this can happen throughout a lifetime. How can you be happy with all this tragedy going on? So it's the same with watching YouTubes or movies that portend disaster, someone warning us of terrible times ahead. How is this helpful? Especially when month after month, year after year, none of those things ever happen. Do you feel better after watching that video or movie, or do you feel worse? More than half of these YouTube podcasts are purposely meant to get your attention for likes and comments, and that's great. But where did this information come from, and what was the motive or intent behind the message? It's probably wise to pay attention to how it makes you yourself feel. Everything is about how you feel. How you feel sets up the quality of your life. Okay, so what's really going on? Why is everything so negative? And why can't we seem to free ourselves from all of these dark thoughts? To explain, most of us have heard about the Matrix, but may not necessarily understand how it works. The Matrix is a powerful holographic computer program projected from the moon, which is not really a moon, but an old Andromedan starship that was put out of commission after being damaged in the Tiamat and Mars wars. This matrix is designed to impose a hologram over the surface of this starship to look like the surface of a real moon, but is in reality just a large metal sphere, like the Death Star. The matrix works as an electromagnetic force field, a stargate, that we refer to as the Van Allen belts that surround the Earth and create a 3D world below, a sort of a poor imitation of the 5D world above. The way this matrix works is very much like our programmed computer games, where we design a virtual world using CGI graphics. It works exactly like the law of attraction. What thoughts you put your attention on become your reality. Well, the matrix power generators are set to a negative frequency and can read your mind and discover your weaknesses and fears, bringing more of that same frequency to you. It's purposely designed through destructive interference to suppress higher thought, limiting our perception to 3D and causing us to believe pessimistic things like getting old and dying. It uses mind control to tell humanity that they are defective, inadequate. People begin to get so disconnected from their higher self, source, that the matrix influences them to act only from the program, doing the same things over and over, day after day. This is why we have a world filled with people on antidepressants, dumbed down into reacting only from what they're told to do through the mass media. You know, it's our responsibility to understand that our despondency is coming from the matrix program. Once we're able to realize this, we'll become aware that our unhappiness is a combination of recurring thoughts delivered to our brains and propelling us into a state of fear and hopelessness. Why did my life turn out so wrong? I can never get ahead. What if an earthquake or tornado comes? What if I get cancer? What if my kid dies? The matrix is listening and reading your thoughts and sending you more of the same. This is how you create unhappiness. A narrative of thoughts of a certain frequency. And of course, these thoughts bring with them emotions. You worry, can't sleep, become short-tempered with others, afraid. Then you wonder why your body's become ill. And ironically, this whole crisis has taken place only in your head, not your life. Yet your body doesn't know the difference. Now you're trapped in that world. Soon, your unhappiness becomes your identity, who you are. People who know you now see you that way. Oh, he's never happy, always worrying and complaining. Years can go by without relief from this suffering. Life sucks. I can't catch a break. Your unhappiness has become so ingrained, so much a part of your beliefs that it's impossible to see life any other way. Never realizing that freedom lies only a thought away. And what is that thought? How can we escape the matrix program and be happy and healthy? We do this through gaining this knowledge and applying its opposite. Now that we know the matrix is reading our thoughts and listening to our words, we can change both. You are much more powerful than you imagine. It's only the matrix programming that makes you think that you're not, or that you're victims. Seriously, the idea that you are helpless is what actually maintains the 3D matrix. You need to change your internal and external dialogue. Become conscious of your thoughts, emotions, and frequency. Once you stop feeding the system and purposely begin taking your power back, when your consciousness level is high enough, it will in itself automatically adjust the matrix to a higher frequency from 3D to 5D. The most dangerous thing to the matrix is an awakened soul who remembers who they are. Whatever you focus on, you will get. If whatever you're focusing on is good or evil, it's up to you. It's all the same to the matrix. For example, it may show you a child missing a leg, hobbling along on crutches. It'll do that to test your emotional reaction. It learns what brings your vibration down and works to give you more of that. You got to know that the matrix is designed to cause a reaction in you. And it's how you manage your reactions that matters. You got to become conscious of your emotions and what triggers them. Understand what makes you feel bad and that you are the one in control. As Wayne Dyer always said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Brilliant. And so true. Why would we ever let the world decide if we can be happy or not? And that's what we're doing when we buy into the news. We allow that information to make us sad or angry or depressed. We give permission for the matrix to take control. Why would we ever do that? The news has nothing to do with us unless we let it. It's run by the matrix. Why would we ever expend our precious energy on hating a politician or getting depressed because of the way the election turned out? Think of it. You have just given your power away to a person you don't even know and letting them ruin your day, your life. How does this make any sense? Unhappiness happens when you allow the outside world to dictate your mood. How many wise beings have suggested that true happiness comes from a state of gratitude? This is exactly what I found. Unhappiness comes when you judge something about this moment as wrong. Peace comes when you can allow your experience to simply be the way it is. This removes all suffering. When you can accept and be grateful for your life as the true miracle it is, exactly as it is, then you're on the right path, the path to joy. Life is full of ups and downs, and some days are good and some days are bad. But I learned that happiness comes from the inside, not from what happens. When my husband passed away, I was sure I would never be happy again. I cried and suffered so much. Then at some point, I realized that no matter how much I suffered, it would not bring my husband back. And I was making myself and everyone around me miserable. I needed to find a way to be happy again. Well, nothing changed until I started to look at life differently, from the view of interpretation. I began to realize that life will always have the good and bad moments, and that I would need to find a way to see it all just as life. The more I took each moment inside myself, the more I began to realize that suffering is only an interpretation. Everything we identify as a part of our external world is simply meaningless. The only true meaning of anything is our own interpretation of it. And that data is received by our senses, and we interpret it, but based mostly on our past experiences. So it's our interpretation of those things that are seemingly happening in our outer world that will cause us to have a thought. And that thought, in turn, will trigger an emotional reaction. The matrix will read you and your inner wants and feelings and emotions, and will send you events that are tailored by your own frequency to cause an emotional reaction. It's designed to do that. Something that you watch on TV that you can't do anything about, a situation, a conflict, even an injured kitten on the street. Can you change what's on the news? No, it's only there to make you feel bad. Now, I know that this may seem odd, but we first have to realize that there really is no physical external world. The external world is a result of our interpretation, all coming out of a state of our consciousness. Everything outside of us is frequency, within a field of potential energy, waiting for a consciousness to manipulate it. Things, situations, and events are all a frequency. If your frequency matches that situation or event, then you will experience it, or something that matches that frequency. In other words, the potential energy will be given a meaning depending upon the state of the consciousness of that person. And so what does that mean when it comes to our happiness? Well, once you realize how suffering comes about, you'll need to get rid of everything that's keeping you in those lower vibrational states, including belief systems, like the belief that death is a tragedy and the cause of great pain and suffering and grief. Now you can understand that this response is mostly coming from this interpretation, coming from within the field of consciousness and dictated by the matrix. So what do we do? How do we escape this negative influence of the matrix? Among other things, give yourself permission to be creative. Discover those things that inspire you to transcend those belief patterns. listening to 432 hertz music. Try painting or sculpture. Watch what you're focusing on in life. Be very observant of your thoughts. Notice when you're having a negative thought and why. Stop looking outside of yourself for happiness. It's got to come from within. Observe things that make you feel good. Water has a high vibration that is very close to source and can quickly elevate your mood. Swimming, taking a shower, walking in the rain or on the beach, or standing near a waterfall. Also, very important, remember to laugh and smile. Even if at first you have to fake being happy until you are. Do your inner work and forgive others. Don't hold on to useless grudges, especially against yourself. You must live in the now, as the now is all there is. Become very introspective. Know yourself and be able to identify what makes you happy and what doesn't. We have to get good at seeing what's wrong in our life. Those things that bring us down, and stop doing them. Something I've discovered is that being around crystals is very helpful. I find they hold a very high frequency. Every night before going to sleep, I hold a quartz crystal in one hand and an amethyst crystal in the other hand. And usually in the morning, I'm still holding them. Or you could just put a crystal under your pillow at night. Happiness is a choice. You can choose to focus on the bad things and be sad, or you can choose to find the good things and be happy. It's not always easy, but it is possible. Exercise as much as you can. It stimulates every cell in your body and releases endorphins in your brain that make you feel good. And, get out in nature as much as you can. Nature, in general, will elevate your frequency. Also, very important, stay away from people are destructive to you, that make you feel sick or sad or trigger negative feelings or invalidate your self-worth. One thing I can't emphasize enough is that we absolutely must stop thinking that our imagination is fantasy. Imagination is the foundation of every new creation. Everything starts as an idea. Bottom line, we must live as if we were already in 5D, already a fifth density being. Don't let the world fool you into believing that you're one of them. Follow your true heart, your true core, your true essence. Always be aware of your vibration and learn to control it. If something makes you feel happy, you're on the right track. If not, leave it behind. It's that simple. To escape the effect of the matrix, we need to begin to think for ourselves. We all need to respect and love ourselves. If we have no respect and love for ourselves, we can't help anyone else. We have to stop looking for an outside authority to tell us that we're okay. Let go of the idea that someone else knows more or knows better. Just because it's on the news, it doesn't mean it's true or of any value to you. Everything is within you. It always has been. But you have to stop listening to your mind in order to find it. You'll need to go back into your larger self, where you are the only true authority. Life is not broken and doesn't need to be fixed. It's an ongoing experience. We are stardust. We came here from the stars, and we will return to the stars. The adventure we're having here is only a moment, the blink of an eye, as they say. So why not make it our own? Don't give it away to some talking head on TV or some soulless program convincing you that they have your answers. All of the answers to any question you could ever come up with are safely hidden deep in your heart. And they've always been there, waiting for you to take a peek inside. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.